Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk About, the show where I talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. And today, I have no webcam turned on because I, quite honestly, have been having really bad allergies, and my face is puffier than it should be, which is honestly the reason why content has sort of stalled, because I'm trying to wait a little bit until my face looks more normal than it does right now. It looks awful, but that's besides the point. No webcam on today because today's topic is extremely time sensitive, and it is because the Oblivion remake, or the Oblivion Remaster as we might as well start calling it officially now, is reportedly releasing very soon as next week, which I feel like is a little bit redundant because I do feel like I said that before already, that the Oblivion Remaster is imminent. Well, guess what? It's even more imminent now than it was the last time. But this recent imminence of the Oblivion remake is because of some screenshots that went live a little bit too early over on Virtuos's website. And to keep within the format of Talk About, we turn to this article over on VGC written by Jordan Midler, titled Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered Screens and Details Have Leaked. The game is reportedly set for release this month. Screenshots and details of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered have appeared online. The images, which include screenshots comparing the original game to the remaster, as well as the promotional art for the game, are circulating on social media after a leak from a Virtuos website. First found on Reset Era, the images show off comparison images from the original game and the new remaster. According to the website, the game will be titled The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered and is being developed in collaboration with Bethesda. Bethesda Dallas and Bethesda Rockville are working on the game alongside Virtuos. Oblivion Remastered will release for PC, Xbox Series X and S, including Game Pass, and PS5, according to the site. A deluxe edition of the game will also be released alongside the normal version. The deluxe edition of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered will include bonuses such as extra weapons and horse armor. The horse armor is a nod to the horse armor DLC pack for the original game, which became a long-running meme in the gaming community. And a companion piece to that article comes from VGC as well, posted by Chris Scullion. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake release date reportedly narrowed down. Journalist says he's been given confirmation on which week the remake will shadow drop. The release date of Bethesda's long-awaited remake of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion has seemingly narrowed down. Last week, Giant Bomb journalist Jeff Grubb said he was told by a source that the remake was going to shadow drop at any moment this month. Now, on the latest episode of his Game Mess Morning stream, Grubb has narrowed this down further, stating that the game is set for release next week, according to his source. Let's update on Oblivion and the shadow drop, Grubb said. Last week we were talking about it like, oh yeah, it should shadow drop at any moment. I'll give people a week now. The week of April 21st. Basically, the last week of the month. Next week, essentially. It should shadow drop then, which I think, other people have said, but I've gotten separate confirmation that that is going to be the case. So shadow drop last week of the month. I'm getting excited for this one. And now, with all of that preamble out of the way, there are two ways that I want to tackle this topic. And the first thing I want to talk about with this topic is that I just don't understand what Xbox is doing here. I don't understand why they would shadow drop this game. Because Oblivion is a game that I adore quite a bit. It was my first Elder Scrolls, and I honestly do think that it is overall a better game than Skyrim, because maybe it's just because I haven't spent nearly as much time in Oblivion as I have in Skyrim. And Skyrim, it's kind of gotten old, I've played that game a lot. Oblivion still feels sort of fresh, even though it's a much older game, just because it's not necessarily a world I've explored every inch of, as opposed to something like Skyrim. But all of that to say, I love Oblivion, and I'm glad it's getting a remaster. And based on these screenshots, it looks awesome. It looks really good, like incredibly good. All of that to say, I love Oblivion, and I'm glad it's getting a remaster. But why is Xbox acting like this is just a small title to just also release any random day of the year? Why are we acting like this isn't a big deal? This is a remaster of a 19-year-old game in a franchise that hasn't seen a release since 2014 if you count the Elder Scrolls Online. And I'm willing to bet most people aren't going to be counting the Elder Scrolls Online. So we're looking at 2011 for the last time there has been a entry in the Elder Scrolls franchise for most players, because of course Elder Scrolls Online isn't necessarily a game for everyone. And there was also the Elder Scrolls Blades, which is a mobile title, which I do believe actually released post 2014. But again, people aren't going to be counting that. People are going to be looking to Skyrim as the last release in the Elder Scrolls franchise for most people. Obviously, there's still a big community out there for ESO. I think Blades actually ended support, so I don't think people are still playing that. For the Elder Scrolls to be as massive of a franchise as it is, with Skyrim taking the world by storm in 2011 and then continuing to be released on every console since then, it is just mind-boggling to me that they aren't selling this Oblivion Remaster as something more, as like, hey, it's a new release in the Elder Scrolls franchise for a lot of people. Because Oblivion, it is nearly a 20-year-old game. Not everyone is going to be like, oh, I loved Skyrim, I should go back to see what the other entries in the Elder Scrolls franchise was like. There's a lot of people out there who played Skyrim and think that the franchise is called Skyrim. Let's be perfectly honest here. So not everyone is going to be like, I should go play Oblivion to see what that was about. So with this remaster or remake or remaster, whichever you want to call it, it looks like a remake. It's called a remaster. It's a whole thing. That's a different conversation for a different day that I don't want to get into right now. But whatever you want to call it, this new release of Oblivion is going to be, for a lot of people, this is going to be a big release for them because they played Skyrim but didn't ever play Oblivion. And now that Oblivion is getting this remaster, a lot of people are going to be jumping into it, and it should be treated like a big deal. I am just so confused as to why it isn't, and why it is just being randomly shadow dropped in April of all months, a month which is already packed and is sandwiched between packed release and another packed release, which brings me to my second point of this video, the second point of this topic. If this game is ready to release, why would you release it at a time when Xbox has so many games coming out? Why is it the week of April 21st? Where is the logic in that? As much as I want this Oblivion remaster, it makes no sense to, first of all, not hype it, and second of all, release it the same week that Xbox Game Pass is having a brand new IP and a brand new title release with Expedition 33. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. That makes zero business sense, and just no sense in any regard, quite frankly. Like, let's take a step back and look at Xbox's 2024 calendar year. When it comes to like first party releases and Game Pass releases, first party Game Pass releases, they only had Indiana Jones in December and Hellblade in April, I believe. And they had things like Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is Call of Duty. So I can't even argue with that at all, really. But in between, for a large portion of 2024, it really felt like Xbox had nothing going on. And so to release this Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster in April, the same week as this big Xbox Game Pass game with Expedition 33, and the same month as first party title release of South of Midnight. And when you look ahead, see that May has the release of first party title Doom the Dark Ages. It's just like, why is Xbox deciding to release all of these games, like 4 games in the span of 2 months? What sense does that make? If I'm missing something here, where is the logic in getting people to sign up for 1 month and then playing South of Midnight, Oblivion, Expedition 33, and Doom the Dark Ages? Like, that makes a great 1 to 2 month period, but if what's coming out in June, I don't know. Is anything coming out for Xbox in June? What about July? What about August? There are all of these other months in the year that we don't know if Xbox has anything. Of course, I'm sure we'll know by June with their summer showcase, but it just makes no sense to me to jam pack this April-May period with so many games when Xbox for a long time have had the issue of not having a high impact release like frequently enough, if you know what I mean. and with South of Midnight, with Expedition 33, and with Doom the Dark Ages, those 3 alone, that was already great. That makes a great April to May segment of time. And then he also had Avowed in February. I don't remember if there was anything in March that was like I would consider a high impact title. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, come on. If this Oblivion remaster is ready now, was it not ready last month? Could you not have released it in March? I wonder if there was some I wonder if it was supposed to. Maybe it got delayed, internally delayed, because apparently they're shadow dropping it. But that's not neither here nor there. But for Xbox to have this opportunity to have a game that they could just hold on to and wait for a better release period for it, like maybe shadow dropping it at their summer showcase, would make a lot of sense to me, because like I already said, April is covered with South of Midnight and Expedition 33. May has Doom the Dark Ages. You don't get much bigger than that in terms of first party releases. June, you start things off with a bang with the summer showcase, and also you go, hey, here, have an Oblivion remastered, shadow drop day and date, same day as the summer showcase. We show it off and you can play it right now. That is hype. But to just randomly release it on a random day in April, the same week as a brand new game, makes no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, and I'm very confused as to why this is the case. And also, another thing that is just a minor thing to me, we're so close to the 20th anniversary of Oblivion. So it's just like, yeah, it's couldn't have waited a year, you know what I mean? And then the other thing I also just wanted to touch on, just because a lot of people keep bringing this up when anyone mentions the Oblivion remaster, Skyblivion, that is a very, I'm speaking out of ignorance. I am aware. So please feel free to correct me, but be nice to me in the comments. But that is a very niche project for the PC players of Skyrim, not for the mass audiences who have a PS5 or an Xbox Series S and X, because you can't get Skyblivion on consoles. That is way too massive of a mod, and the mod cap on consoles is 5 gigabytes on Skyrim, unless they've updated it recently, which they really need to. Is it 5 gigabytes or is it 10? I know it had 5 on the Xbox One. Let me know if they've changed that for Series X and S and PS5. I don't know for certain. I know Starfield has 100 gigabytes for mods, which is awesome, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting sidetracked so quickly. But Skyblivion is a PC only thing that only the PC players of Skyrim will have access to. So the people who are currently looking forward to Skyblivion right now, guess what? It will still be there for you to play when it's out. And for everyone else who doesn't have access to Skyblivion, guess what? Here is an official remaster from Bethesda and from Xbox and from Virtuos. Here you go. I don't understand why people are yelling over each other about this whole Skyblivion versus Oblivion remaster thing. It makes no sense to me, because you're going to play whichever one you're going to play. And a lot of people, honestly, they're going to play both, because they're going to see what's different and which one they like more. And then it'll be a whole thing. It's going to be a weird time when those comparisons happen, which is weird, because like Skyblivion is a mod for Skyrim, which is very different from taking the game of Oblivion and making it look prettier. But again, that's not what this video is about. I'm just very confused. This video is about my confusion as to why Xbox is doing this with the release of this game. Why is this the release strategy? Why is a shadow drop, no marketing, the strategy for what should be a pretty big deal? Like, you see how much hype is being generated for the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake, or I guess that's a remake, but it's, I mean, like, if you want to get real technical real quick for a little bit, Virtuos is doing the Oblivion remaster and the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're doing the same thing, like the same methodology that is being used in this Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake is the same way they are doing Oblivion remaster, but it's called a remaster, and then that's a remake, but it's the same system. It's a whole thing. Like I said, it's a whole thing. But You see how much hype that is driving, how excited people are for Delta Snake Eater to come out in August. Xbox, you could have that same sort of hype cycle with Oblivion. Oblivion is a big deal. Elder Scrolls is a big deal. It's one of the biggest deals. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. This is the most confounding decision Xbox has made for me personally in a while, because I feel like a lot of people are very confused about a lot of things that Xbox are doing, like mostly with like they're releasing games on PlayStation. That's fine to me. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, I think, but I'm not going to get into that conversation here. But this is confounding. I am so confused by it, and I have no idea why. And another thing that came into my mind while I was recording this is usually how Talk About goes. Sorry if you're new here. I just talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. You get the gist. What came to my mind while I was talking about how the Oblivion Remaster should be released during the summer showcase as a shadow drop, because, you know, that drives up a lot of hype. You show the trailer and then you go, guess what? You can play it today. That is always one of the most hype moments in any showcase. Everyone should do it. I love it. I mean, well, it depends on the game, because if you release like Mario 99, I don't really care. But for something like an Oblivion Remaster, you show it off, you look at how beautiful it looks, and then you go, you can play it today. That's really hype. And with the summer showcase being June 9th, I believe, it would be really cool if they were also like, and guess what? I know what you're thinking. June packed month. We have the Switch 2. We got Mario Kart World, Death Stranding on the Beaches coming out later this month. It's already a packed month. But if Oblivion Remastered were to also release on the Switch 2, which we have no idea if that is the case, because the leaked images only say Xbox, PC, and PS5. Of course, I don't know if they would say Switch 2 at that stage, but if it were also releasing on Switch 2, that'd be a very good thing for this game, because the Switch 2 would have just released. And what is there to play on the Switch 2 on release day? Mario Kart World, awesome. I'm gonna love kart racing for 10 hours, and then I'll be like, what else is there? I have this new console. I am ravenous for new games to play. Oh snap, we have a remake of a nearly 20-year-old RPG that is massive that I can play on my Switch too. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing, Xbox. What are you doing? Get it together. Fix this. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand it, and that's what this whole episode is about. Me just ranting about confusion, which is different for me. I feel like I usually try to take a more positive spin on everything going on in the games industry, because it is usually so negative out there everywhere on the internet. But this is the one time. Allow me this one time to be like, what are we doing? What's happening? What's the plan here? Because this makes no sense to me. Why step on the toes of Expedition 33? Because I'll say it. I'll say it. Hot take. It's not a hot take whatsoever. But for me personally, if this Oblivion Remastered comes out next week, I'm not playing it next week. I got too many other games to play. You know, I'm not like, wait, I'm busy. You know, I'm busy because you keep putting out games, Xbox. You know, I still haven't finished Avowed. I still haven't finished South of Midnight. I will be starting Expedition 33, and then by the time I finish Expedition 33, South of Midnight, and Avowed, Doom the Dark Ages will be out. And then apparently there's going to be an Oblivion Remaster on top of all of that. It's just like, Xbox, pace yourself. I understand the internet's been flaming you guys for years, talking about how you have no games. And now here I am taking 30 minutes. I'm sure this will be edited down, way down from 30 minutes though, and just ranting about how you have too many games. I know, I understand you guys have a lot of games. And there's also a new Overwatch update that I want to play. Oh, it's just, God. Xbox, slow down, please, for the love of God. All right. Video over. It's different doing this. I feel like there's a very different vibe to talk about when I am just talking into a mic and not, you know, having any actual screen presence. I'm sitting way back right now. I'm leaning way back in my chair, like so far back I could fall right now. That's how gravity works. Very different vibe when I don't have my webcam on. Maybe that really that was really the reason why I kind of ranted there. Maybe I'll do it more often. I don't know. But that'll do it for today's episode of Talk About. So in the comments below, let me know what you think of the Oblivion remaster being reportedly shadow dropped next week, the week of March 21st, the same week as Expedition 33, 2 or 3 weeks before Doom the Dark Ages, and 2 weeks after South of Midnight. What are they doing? What are they doing? Too many games. Too many games, Xbox. Let me know what you think about this whole scenario and in the comments below. And if you like this video and you made it this far and you haven't proved it by hitting the like button, you should prove it by hitting the like button. You know, that'd be pretty cool. And if you made it to the end of this video and you aren't subscribed, you should probably go ahead and subscribe, because I mean, most people who are subscribed make it to the end of the video, and people who aren't subscribed, they don't. So it's kind of weird that you aren't subscribed, honestly, so you should subscribe. All right. Get out of here. All right. That was a really weird outro. I forgot how to do it, I'm gonna be honest. But that's it. As always, until the next video, as always, stay safe and play some video games.